Ever get that itch to, dive into classic literature? But then you see those like massive volumes and you're kind of intimidated.
Oh, yeah.
I know I do. That's why I'm so excited about this YouTube channel I found, Insightful Odyssey.
Okay.
They break down these huge, literary giants into bite-sized pieces. It makes them so much more accessible.
Yeah, it's amazing how they can like distill it but still keep what makes them classics.
Exactly. It's like having like a friend, but a really smart friend, guide you through all the important stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And helps you see things you might miss otherwise, all the layers.
And speaking of classics that deserve a closer look, today we're doing a deep dive into the Odyssey.
Oh, perfect timing.
You mentioned you're new to this epic poem, so think of this as your crash course. We'll go through all the twists and turns of the Odysseus's journey together
Okay.
and highlight the timeless themes that make this ancient story still relevant to us today.
You'll see. The Odyssey, it doesn't just tell the story straight through. It kind of throws us right into the action. 10 years after the Trojan War.
Wow.
Our hero, Odysseus, is stuck on this island, Ogygia, held captive by this beautiful nymph, Calypso.
Okay, so he's trapped on this gorgeous island with a goddess who's totally into him.
Right.
Sounds kind of rough, actually.
Well, yeah, it's not as simple as it sounds. See, Calypso doesn't just offer him paradise.
Oh?
She offers him immortality.
Whoa.
Like a chance to live forever in total bliss.
I mean, that's tempting.
It's a huge test for him. Does he choose comfort and eternal youth? Or risk everything to go back home to a place that may not even want him back?
That's a tough choice.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be tempted by, forever young?
Exactly.
But back in Odysseus' kingdom, Ithaca, things aren't exactly peaceful either, right?
No, not at all. While Odysseus is dealing with Calypso, his wife Penelope, she's got her own problems.
Okay.
A whole bunch of suitors have taken over the palace, assuming, of course, Odysseus is dead. They're pressuring her to marry again, basically trying to take Odysseus's place and his wealth.
So it's like double trouble.
Yes, he's got these mythical creatures and gods messing with him.
Right.
And back home, his family and kingdom are falling apart.
Talk about pressure. And what about his son, Telemachus, right?
Yes.
What's he up to in all this?
So at first, Telemachus, he's just a young guy missing his dad.
Yeah.
But then he goes on his own journey, a parallel odyssey, you could say, looking for news of his father, to understand his legacy, and to claim his place in Ithaca. It's a real coming-of-age story.
Wow. So both Odysseus and Telemachus are on these journeys of self-discovery.
Yeah.
But we can't forget the really cool stuff, like the fantastical parts of the Odyssey.
Oh, you mean like...
The mythical creatures,
Yeah.
the gods interfering.
Right? Those encounters are key. They're
Yeah.
not just cool adventures. They test Odysseus, his character, his resilience.
I see.
Like when he meets Polyphemus the Cyclops, it shows how clever he is, how he outsmarts this giant brute.
He's got to be smart to survive all this.
But it also makes you think about, the consequences. What's the line between being clever and being, well, brutal?
Right, right. What about those sirens?
Oh,
They
yeah.
lure sailors to their doom with their songs.
Yeah, it's impossible to resist.
So how does he get past that?
It shows how self-aware Odysseus is. He knows he can't resist their songs, so he takes precautions. His crew, they plug their ears with beeswax, and he makes them tie him to the mast.
So he can hear but not be tempted.
Exactly!
That takes some serious willpower. I like how he knows his weakness and figures out a way to overcome it. Makes you think, what are our own sirens in life?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Those things that tempt us, lead us away from our goals.
The Odyssey is full of these moments that make us think about our own lives, the challenges, the choices we make.
It's like a mirror, in a way.
Exactly. And it's not just like monsters, Odysseus also faces the wrath of the gods.
Right, the gods, they're a whole other story.
Powerful beings playing with human lives, basically.
Yeah. They're not always, the good guys. Sometimes they help Odysseus, but sometimes it feels like they just enjoy making his life harder.
It's how the ancient Greeks saw them. They believed in fate, that some things were just destined to happen. But the Odyssey, it also looks at human choice, how we can shape our own lives.
So it's not just all predetermined.
It's this mix of fate and free will,
Yeah.
a push and pull.
So even with the gods messing with him, Odysseus still gets to decide how he reacts.
Exactly.
Like he's in this game where the rules keep changing.
Yeah.
And he has to adapt to survive.
Perfect analogy. Take Scylla and Charybdis, for example.
Oh, I've heard of this.
He's trapped between a rock and a hard place, literally. Scylla, this six-headed monster who eats sailors, and Charybdis, a giant whirlpool that can swallow whole ships.
No good options there. How does he even get out of that one?
Well, he doesn't escape completely unharmed.
Oh.
Circe, the sorceress who warned him about the sirens, she tells him to pick the lesser evil. Sail closer to Scylla. Lose a few men, but save the ship from Charybdis.
Brutal choice.
It shows the reality of being a leader. The heavy decisions Odysseus has to make.
It's kind of tragic. Even when he wins, there's a cost.
Yeah.
But through all of it, he never loses sight of home. That's what keeps him going, right?
Exactly. And that desire for home, it's reflected in Penelope, too.
Yeah, she's been waiting all this time.
Despite the suitors, the years of waiting, she never doubts that he'll be back.
She's a strong character.
Oh, absolutely. Penelope is resilient, clever. She uses her wit to outsmart the suitors and protect Odysseus' kingdom.
She's not just passively waiting around.
Not at all. She's actively shaping events back in Ithaca.
And Telemachus, he's on his own journey too, right?
Yes. He goes from this naive young man to a brave, resourceful leader. Searching for his father changes him. He sees the wild, its dangers and wonders. It's like a parallel to Odysseus' own journey.
So we've got these three characters, each facing their own challenges. But they're all connected by this longing for home and family. It makes me think that the Odyssey is as much about the journey itself, not just the destination.
That's a great point. It's about what we learn along the way, the obstacles we overcome, the people who help us, like Odysseus having his loyal crew. We all need that support in our own journeys.
It's amazing how the Odyssey, this ancient story, still feels so relevant today.
I know, right?
Like those themes, resilience, loyalty, that human need for meaning and connection, they never get old. What other lessons can we take from it and apply to our own lives?
Well, for me, one of the biggest ones is resourcefulness. Odysseus faces these impossible situations, but he finds a way.
He doesn't give up.
Never. He uses his mind, his charm, his cunning. It reminds us, even when things seem hopeless, there's always a way forward. If we get creative, adapt.
He's the ultimate problem solver. Always thinking, always figuring things out. He's not too proud to ask for help or even trick his enemies if he has to.
Exactly. And that leads to another big lesson. Humility.
Oh, interesting.
Odysseus, he knows his limits. He admits when he's wrong. He learns from his mistakes. That's a valuable quality to have.
He's not like those typical heroes just charging into everything. He's more complex, brave, but cautious and smart.
Yes.
He shows that true strength is knowing when to fight and when to outsmart your opponent.
And we can't forget the power of stories themselves. The Odyssey has been around for centuries, passing on wisdom, values, this deep understanding of what it means to be human.
Stories connect us, even across time and cultures.
Absolutely. They teach us, inspire us, help us make sense of our own lives.
The Odyssey almost gives us like a guide for navigating the tough stuff in life.
I like that. With all the ups and downs, the setbacks, the moments of victory.
You know, one thing that really struck me is how the Odyssey shows how important human connection is.
Yeah.
Odysseus, he may be the hero, but he wouldn't have made it home without help.
Oh, definitely not. Think about it. He gets guidance from the gods, help from his loyal crew, and of course, the love and support from his family back in Ithaca.
Right.
It shows that even the strongest people need others.
We need that network, that support system.
Totally. Someone to encourage us, guide us, help us when we're down.
It seems like this idea that we're all connected, that our journeys are shaped by our relationships. It's like a thread throughout the whole poem.
It is. And for Odysseus, that homecoming, it's so powerful because of all the stuff he went through to get there.
Exactly.
If it was easy, it wouldn't mean as much, right?
It's like those trials, those encounters with the gods and monsters. They stripped away everything else.
Yeah.
And we see who Odysseus really is.
It forged him into the man who could finally return home and reclaim his place. And that brings us to one of the most memorable scenes, when Odysseus finally reveals himself to Penelope.
Oh, yeah.
Not a test of strength or smarts this time, but of their history together.
You mean the test of the bed?
Yes, the one he built himself, rooted in their home. Penelope, she's been tricked by those suitors for years. So she tests this stranger, this guy claiming to be Odysseus, asks him to describe their bed.
Right.
Only her true husband would know.
And that's how she recognizes him.
Not by how he looked.
but by something deeper.
Exactly. By his love, his understanding of their past.
That's a really powerful scene.
It shows that real recognition goes beyond the surface. It's about seeing someone's true self, even if things have changed on the outside.
And it shows the power of love and loyalty.
Yeah.
Even after 20 years.
Wow.
Penelope never wavered. That's incredible.
It's a bond forged in shared experiences, respect,
Understanding.
a love that goes beyond time and hardship. So as we finish our deep dive into the Odyssey, I think it's clear this isn't just an adventure story.
It's so much more than that.
It's a deep look at the human experience, the good and the bad, the struggles and the victories.
It's a story that people have loved for centuries.
And it still teaches us so much about resilience, loyalty, home, and the power of stories themselves.
And for anyone who wants to explore more, go on their own literary adventure, check out that YouTube channel we mentioned.
Insightful Odyssey.
They make these classics easy to understand and enjoy.
It's a great way to discover new layers of meaning, connect with these ancient stories. You might be surprised at what you find.
Because great literature, it speaks to us all.
It goes beyond time and place.
And the Odyssey, with its themes of adventure, resilience, and connection, it reminds us that no matter how long the journey, we can always find our way home.